Yeah.
Welcome in to another episode of the Making Mark Wrestling Show on the Tell Me More podcast. I'm your host, Mac Moore. We got a couple of the usual suspects. We got Wade Christiansen, if his phone decides to work at all. We got Ethan down in the corner, who has a new phone, which now means he does not have headphones. So that'll screw up the podcast for sure. And then we have a brand new guest. We have Nate Stitt, a.k.a. Miss Amanda Love. We will let you do your own introduction since you're already promoting this podcast better than we are. I was trying to send a link, and all of a sudden Nate's like, what do I send out for the podcast? What do I send to these people so they can watch live? I'm like, yeah, whatever.
We do that.
Fine.
We do that here.
I mean, we can. I'm not against it. I'm just also not going to do the work for it. So
perfect. I don't know. Yeah, I'm your loud and proud local drag queen normally. An avid wrestling fan since I was little, watching Saturday morning, like hour-long Hulk Hogan shit before he was racist. I caught his racist then too.
Probably.
But
80s?
Well, 90s, like early 90s, because I would have been like 5 or 6 because I was 88 was when I was born. And then we didn't have cable, so I couldn't really watch it, but my parents definitely were like, don't watch it, it's fake. And I was like, well, then I'm watching it because you told me not to. And so now, watch all of them, WWE, AEW, of course, which we're missing right now.
Problem is in NXT, it's fine.
I got it on.
Sure.
I'm watching
I could have it on the side, but yeah, so I feel like at this point, nerd culture of any kind is cool. So that's why I started like posting when I was watching pay-per-views, and that's how you saw me post and got me here. So
hell yeah.
All right, so you're already smart enough that like the first question I ask of new people is always, how'd you get started? When did you start watching wrestling? So you knocked out that part. Perfect. So the one thing I want to ask though, the thing that we all three have is that we all watched wrestling through childhood, and then at some point there was a break. There was a time where we didn't watch. We didn't like start hating wrestling. You get some of those guys who like rebel against it. We just stopped watching for a while for various reasons.
Right.
And then we came back. Wade came back when The Rock came back and fought John Cena. Ethan came back when somebody told him to watch New Japan and all this stuff. Or I guess it was The Miz, which is the saddest story ever. But there was a reason why he came back.
It's actually a very nice story.
He really loved Jillian. Shout out to the Royal Rumble.
Check it out. And I was like, I've watched it a while. It's a way more sentimental story than what you give it credit for. With The Miz or New Japan.
I love how now that Ethan doesn't have a mic, he just basically mutes himself. So this is perfect. All that dumb shit, we don't have to hear it. So Nate, is there a story about any break? Was there a lapse in your time watching wrestling regularly?
I would say definitely when I was little, because it wasn't on TV, and then it was when SmackDown started to be on like UPN or whatever, because we only had antenna. I kind of could watch it that way, and then Saturday afternoon Shotgun, whatever, going really far back. But I didn't watch. What
was it? Shotgun Saturday Night? Isn't that what it was called?
I think so, but it was like kind of a replay of what happened.
Yeah.
So I'd watch that, but then once they did like the original brand split, like 2004-ish, never saw Raw. Like I don't know Evolution until after the fact, but I was able to watch some like SmackDown stuff because they would do like reruns on Fox and stuff. So I would say that would be where I didn't watch it because it wasn't available to me. But if I could, I did. And then when I went to college, I got cable, and then I was like, I'm back. And then I would watch as many as I can. I would say, if anything, I watch less now because, like, now that NXT and AEW are at the same time, it's hard to watch both, and usually I pick AEW. And then SmackDown technically is the same time as RuPaul's Drag Race, and I don't wrestle, so I watch that instead. But I try to keep up.
I'd say, in fairness, if I had to pick, at this point, I'd probably still pick RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm just not watching either right now.
Ooh, Untucked this week was good. You thought they were going to hit each other, and it wasn't going to be a stomp or a slap with it. Like,
I love how much this terminology just matches over with wrestling. Like, it just carries over.
If you didn't know, there is a huge crossover of the drag community with wrestling. I used to watch a YouTube show with some queens from New York called The Nobodies, and it was called Nobody's Watching Wrestling, and they would review stuff because one of them was a fan and the other two had no idea what the fuck was going on. And so you'd be like, their outfits were pretty, and it was like, yeah, that's what it is. It's drag, it's drama, it's over the top characters. It's the same thing.
This goes back.
You just wrote a review for this show.
You're welcome.
In life is a more or less sophisticated form of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm proven right. Thank you for my.
I feel like I'm not supposed to let you do that.
Excuse me while I
don't let Ethan be right.
Amendment rights.
So yeah, that's good. I think your gap is pretty close to Wade's. I think Wade stopped watching when it was when Raw went to Spike, TNN.
Yeah, TNN, Spike. Yeah, I didn't have that channel, so never got to watch. So I think I would catch like random episodes. Smack Saturday when like the Undertaker was when Teddy Long was just putting everyone against the other. I would get to see bits and clips of that.
All right, boys.
I had a good 10-12 year gap where I was watching anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get to the end.
All right, so I got to ask you guys real quick. Are you guys hearing Wade fine, or is
it was cutting a bit?
So Wade, I go back to the other headphones. Those are probably work better. As we keep going through the technical difficulties, and I can't hear Ethan half the time because he loves to talk over me. But now it's just solved. I don't have to have a mute button.
Like 15-minute long stretches, man. I got to try to get in somewhere.
We're 6 minutes in, and you've interrupted 6 times.
Hey, how's that feel?
I didn't hear it, so it didn't feel bad at all. We're gonna get started. At some point, Wade's gonna make it back in. We're gonna be talking about Royal Rumble, do the recap, and as Nate mentioned, AEW and NXT is on. That's the other reason why I haven't promoted stuff live yet, till we get like a very routine schedule where we're able to do it on a night that's not 2 wrestling shows. I don't really feel the need to tell people to join in, but I do know that whatever we talk about, be good for people to catch up on the next day and listen to. So I'm glad for anybody who does tune in live. Anybody who does that is really great. And we do have a ridiculous number of fans who are consistently listening to us every podcast. It's like 30 people, but it amazes me how many people want to be here for me to talk and for Ethan to look upset as I keep picking on him. But we're going to get started with Royal Rumble, and this is always a show that makes us excited. I have no idea what's happening anymore.
I still hear you.
Nothing is going right.
Yeah. I was like, I literally hear you, but
this is fun.
Just fix it in post. Fucking.
Why is
it's a green screen now, so I have no idea.
But I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We'll keep moving with it. Ethan's now trying to get his camera set up. He'll end up breaking his camera, which will be fun.
I'm just making the tripod really small, and I'm gonna hold it closer to my face. Can you hear me speaking?
Yeah.
Okay, I just can't interject. I just have to wait to be called upon.
Yeah, and if you want to go like vertical for one episode, I'll allow it.
How would that help?
Well, because like the way that you'd like angle it wouldn't be as severe because you're kind of like, because once you get close, I don't know, your face is vertical, so you can get closer to your face without it like seeming like your face is off camera. Oh, we're gonna get 2 people back without stuff working. All right, we still got green screen.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't touch anything.
All right, so that's technology upset because you didn't show up in drag gear. So now you're stuck as just a green background and just have voice. We got Wade partially back.
Do I need to sign up for like the program that we're on?
Maybe. Did everybody else sign up?
No.
Damn.
It should just be a quick link. It's usually really easy.
Yeah, I clicked the link, and that's what I first did, and we've gone for about 10 minutes. I wonder if it was like 10 minutes free, and then...
No, I don't think it's that. It looked great before. I don't know what happened.
Maybe I'll go all the way out and come back.
Yeah, maybe restart the phone and see if that works.
Yeah.
So this is fun. This is the exact wrong day for me to run into tech issues. I have absolutely no bandwidth left. And apparently none of our devices have bandwidth either.
Why did they eliminate the headphone jack from the iPhone? I don't understand it. It's making my life harder. It's making me unhappy.
Things like this. Dongles and dingles. That's why.
Yeah, I'm hearing nothing from Wade now.
Ah!
Holy shit.
All right. Let me see if I can knock. Well, I can knock my definition back. Hopefully that'll slow down, make bandwidth work better. I got fucking gig and I got it connected, hardwired. So
all right, while we're talking about this,
best we can do.
What can I do to make this work next time? Should I just buy a lightning cable?
Well, buy the lightning cable with headphones, or in case to use your old headphones, an adapter. Although Wade has one that I had that very quickly died. So maybe don't go the $6 route that I've been going. It might be good to just get like the $20, $30 one that doesn't suck.
Gotcha.
So we'll see, man.
I thought getting a newer phone would be like an advancement in technology, but all it's been is like a better camera, which is nice, a little bit bigger screen, which is cool. But honestly, everything else about the functionality of this phone is like not that like outstanding. It's fine. I like it, but it's when I run into this, when I'm trying to use my headphones for shit.
Yeah, I think the future though, like it'll get to where it's better. The problem being that like everything's moving to USB-C, and so Lightning is still just Apple only. So I don't know how much it really will solve things, but at least once that happens, people will know, okay, we need to make devices that are not going to be 3.5 millimeter jack anymore because nobody's putting those on any new technology.
What's 3.5 millimeter jack? Just like a regular headphone jack?
Yeah, that's a regular headphone jack. And so then everything else being Lightning, and then they're phasing out like USB ports on computers and replacing them with USB-C, and they're super fast. The problem is nobody has them right now, so it's just this like divide between good technology that you can buy, and so all the adapters suck, and Apple won't update it. We're just kind of stuck in that middle ground right now.
I was gonna ask.
But that's our tech update on our Royal Rumble recap.
Still live.
Still live.
All right.
I could have
I'm
paused
here,
it, but I don't actually know how to do that. So we got everybody back. I think Wade's stuff might be working a little better. Video was moving. I saw his eyes. I saw the deadness in his eyes.
Moving.
This is going well. All right.
We'll do
So
it live.
Oh,
fuck.
Doesn't help
So
because
we're gonna get started. We're talking about Royal Rumble. We're going to jump in with just how we felt about this one. I'll start with Ethan, I guess. I assume you just want to talk about Edge for 20 minutes. So, Ethan, go ahead, talk about Edge for 20 minutes.
So the Hurricane appeared at the Royal Rumble.
That's what you start.
Was honestly a huge pop for me. I'm not actually joking. That is true for me. I enjoyed that. But no, yeah, fuck yeah. Edge came back and won the Royal Rumble. I've been saying it for months that Edge is going to win the Royal Rumble, and it happened. And that's my fucking dude. So for a dude that should be in a wheelchair to come back and be performing still at a high level, win the Royal Rumble, and then the night after wrestle Randy Orton in the main event of Monday Night Raw, like giving away an Edge match for free on TV shows, I think, how in he is on this run. He's not just doing like a Goldberg thing or a Brock thing where he's just kind of there for, for entertainment's sake, but he's actually back to being like one of the boys. He's back to being a wrestler. I know he's not going to wrestle a ton of matches every year. I think what is his contract? Like 3 years, minimum 5 matches a year, something like that. It came out last year.
Whose?
But,
did you say Edge's was?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure after the Rumble last year, I want to say his contract was kind of became public as like a 3-year, 5-match minimum, but he can wrestle as many matches as he wants. And I think he's going to wrestle as many matches as he wants. Also, Edge and Christian teaming up during the Rumble.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about. So with Edge coming back last year and that being this big groundbreaking moment, obviously big moment that he gets to win the Royal Rumble again, 11 years to the day of the last time he won. So that is a huge moment. But when you already know Edge is back, and I mean, I think it was still a big deal that, you know, he was back in this one, but he announced it before it happened. So that's not one of like the surprise entrants coming in. But in this case, Christian, who the last time we saw him, he was in an angle on behalf of Edge going up against Randy Orton, and he gets his ass kicked, but clearly in a way where he can't take bumps. He's still not cleared to wrestle. So for him to get a come in the Royal Rumble and be in there long enough where you start to see he is taking real bumps. He is back. And, you know, we didn't really I didn't have that information. I didn't hear from anybody that Christian was on his way back other than kind of the way people always talk about it. Once he gets back in the ring once, they're like, yeah, he's totally coming back, dude. But we have no idea.
Right.
We had very little information when Daniel Bryan did it. And that one seemed more clear that he was on that trajectory. But with Christian, we just saw him once and thought, okay, probably a one-off. So with him back, is that a bigger moment than Edge winning the Royal Rumble this year?
No, it's a huge moment. I don't think it's bigger than anyone winning the Royal Rumble. But I do think it's big. I think it's huge. I think that, you know, you either have him be, I mean, in the Royal Rumble alone, he was kind of not an accessory, but he was like a compliment to Edge's performance in the Rumble. You know, they teamed up to eliminate Braun Strowman in the Rumble. Like there's a lot going on as far as them still being clearly allies and best friends and a team. But I think Christian it's more that I think he's there for his own return, his own comeback, his own opportunity at, I mean, shit, put him in like a U.S. title picture or Intercontinental title picture, not necessarily a run with the title, but, you know, being, you know, not just there as an accessory to Edge, but being there because, like, the bumps that he's taking, he's clearly cleared. He's back. You know, him being cleared isn't necessarily as big of a story as Edge being cleared, but it's still a big story. And I think that you gradually maybe drift away his connection to the Edge storyline for now, but not entirely. But either way, it is huge that Christian is back. Christian's back. I don't know what's going on with Carlito, but
I want to see if Wade's audio is working. So right now, Ethan just had the most lackluster Christian's back. Doesn't that reaction prove what you've said all along, Wade, which is that Christian doesn't fucking matter?
I was going to say that's how the rest of the world felt too. The crowd went mild.
there is no crowd. That joke would have worked better if there was a crowd.
I think it would have worked better.
Even their fake crowd noise they pumped in was kind of like, yeah.
I think the joke would have worked better if the mic worked at all.
So do you think that Christian is only there as a compliment to Edge, or do you think that he'll actually have any kind of a run?
I know that whenever Edge rears his ugly head, that Christian is not far behind.
I love the haterade coming. Just aim straight at Edge and Christian. Nate, how did you feel about Christian's return?
Made up of 60 Brock Lesnar's, Wade. Shit.
Christian coming back. I mean, yeah, he never had the big runs. My thought is similar to a lot of them, where he have to kind of retire out of like not his choice.
Yeah.
If he can come back, I'm seeing a final match with Edge in a year or two, so that he can end his the way he wants to, and then Edge will finish when he wants to. But both of them, not being able to quit when you wanted to, I can see that. I did see a thing where Big E has offered or kind of made reference to having him look into the Intercontinental title run, or like a work with it, and that'd be cute. I mean, we need to get the Intercontinental title off of Big E so he can go for the big one. But
if only they do that.
Yeah. If anything, I'd want him to go full back Edge and Christian and wear the crazy goggles and run through the crowd, even though there's no crowd. But like, have them all of a sudden walk through the Thunderdome would be fun. Like, and then they Ed, like Christian, or make Edge go heel. I mean, he's a great heel. Have Edge turn on him so he can be heel, and then they can have a big blow off at a big pay-per-view that can end Christian on a high note. But yeah, it was uneventful in the moment, considering it'd been more impactful if he hadn't come back for that little bit with Randy Orton, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have expected to see him. But
yeah, it did kind of take some of the shock away, because like, well, I did see him in the ring like 4 months ago or whatever. Like,
yeah, you didn't see Edge 4 months before his return last year.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So
I think it's a bigger like surprise for smarks who like see it and think, oh yeah, if they're only bringing him in to do limited action with Randy Orton, try to make it look brutal, but he can't really do any move. Then you kind of have in your head, well, we're probably not going to see him. Where I think leading in, it was so short after Edge had come back, you had in your mind, oh, maybe they cleared him. That's why they're doing this. So maybe the Smark fans were like a little let down. And then in this moment could have got super excited about it. And then the normal fans are like, yeah, we just saw him. Why would this be a big deal?
Right.
But also the Smark fans don't like to pretend like they're really shocked by it. They're like, oh, we knew the whole time. We knew Christian was coming back. We read Meltzer's blog. So it probably just did not work out in terms of getting them as psyched up and tricked by the Randy Orton bit. But it is interesting to see him back. I like Nate's idea with having Edge and Christian go at it. I think, my fantasy booking, like if I'm in control, I don't think the last match is with Edge. I think the last match is with Randy Orton. I think the super legend killer gimmick is he ends Christian's career. Like that's the best way to sell it. And then it sets up a match between those two the following WrestleMania. Would probably be the way I go. But that's because if I know a guy's leaving, then I'm going to use it to the best of my ability and feel good stories. Oh, they're going to hug in the ring afterwards. Fuck them. I want Randy Orton to punt him in the head. That's the best way to finish that rivalry.
You go out on your back.
First of all, that's how wrestling works, Ethan. That's how it's supposed to be done. I don't know why these new guys are ruining it. I don't know why they're making Undertaker go on the Joe Rogan podcast and sound like an asshole, but these guys are little bitches. You need to be old school about it.
All right, I'm fine with the going out on your back is the way to go. I agree, but like I don't think there's a problem with two dudes like having a feel good moment. Maybe if it's not centered around it, if it's maybe almost an afterthought versus the end of the actual match or the end of the rivalry, but
right.
I don't think it's like as bad as Undertaker going on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Undertaker's taking a lot of hits lately. It was on the upward climb. We're so glad to hear him be himself for a second, and they were like, wait a minute, what is that shirt he's wearing? I'm pretty sure I saw that at the Capitol.
Yeah.
Shit.
Ooh, very that. The blue stripe during the last ride. The whole time you're like,
dude.
We're all like,
this is airing during Black Lives Matter's like big protest, and you're wearing this blue stripe. It's not like he should have known better, but then again,
I think all wrestling fans are just like, I didn't see it. It might have happened. I didn't see it.
I literally had this conversation with somebody. I had the last ride, one of the docu parts on at the bar, and someone was like, is he wearing like a thin blue line hat with a Texas shape to it? I was like, I really honestly have been trying to block it out as much as I can, but you can only go so far.
Yeah, we know dead lives matter, but the next up, what's the next thing that matters in the Royal Rumble? Is we're going down the line.
I have one thing. Yeah. With returns, I kind of was disappointed with the way they brought Seth Rollins back. Like, even if they brought him back as the Messiah, they should have had it go burn it down, and then we flip shit because we think he's gonna be like all that, and then all of a sudden be like, no, it's the Messiah song.
Also, his music sounds too much like Bailey's new music. Like it has just this like
Bailey
in the men's Royal Rumble. That was literally
their characters are equally worthless. So
give Seth the buddies. That'd be awesome.
My God,
now
but like if they were black, right
proclaimed as God and said his new baby is the Messiah. I'd watch that. I'll give that a 15-minute segment at 9 p.m. Like. We'll check that out.
Yeah, the Seth Rollins thing. I think that's probably the only end of this Royal Rumble that I didn't like was just Seth Rollins. Like, it's not working. They got to figure out something new.
He just
on the outside without it being like he's just sitting, like he wasn't trying to be hurt or hide under the ring. He's just kind of crouched outside for the last like 5 minutes of the Rumble, basically.
Yeah.
I don't care.
All right.
He's a terrible leader. He's terrible in the style. All of his followers leave or get hurt. Like he's the new Bray Wyatt.
Or they go to jail for pedophilia. Like, it's just been a tough road for Seth Rollins.
I'm sorry. I think the news point there. What was that?
It was just a joke about Buddy Murphy, at the love triangle or the relationship with Rey Mysterio.
Because she's underage, or very close to it.
I thought that was clear, but apparently it wasn't. My bad.
He's not in jail for it yet.
I missed that entirely. That's my bad.
That was on one of the WWE YouTube videos. So go check it out. It's on there.
News real quick. I got NXT on in the background, and Finn Balor and Dunn are going at it in a promo battle, and the Rated R Superstar just came out.
Yeah, he was supposed to be on there tonight. Just probably trying to beat AEW in the ratings.
Well, it's working for me.
It's a good game plan.
Because you're a mark.
Goddamn right. I've been an Edge mark since the pre-Brood. Fuck.
Damn.
I mean, we've been doing a podcast for 3 years where like 12 people listen to us, so you don't have to explain to us that we're marks. It's pretty apparent.
Turns out
I'm making it known with the two people I brought in.
You're making it more apparent than Ethan, who I just love that it's cut out every single retort he's had. It's been fun. Looking at the end, the other thing that made me angry, maybe more than Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, and I sent a message in the group chat. Is Braun's trying to steal Dexter Loomis's gimmick? Like what's with the gardening gloves? I get their camo, but he bought the wrong gloves, man. Like those don't make him look cool. They don't make him look like some outdoorsman or military guy. Like, they make him look like an idiot. What the hell is happening with Braun right now?
Well, it's a good, probably a merchandising move to sell these fans' gloves. That's my take on it.
I mean, how many is he going to sell? I mean, and maybe a couple at the beginning until he murders somebody, because he botched like 5 moves with those damn gloves. Like, he got in the ring and he was missing slaps. He was dropping people. Like, it was a bad move for him to come out there with those gloves, particularly in a Royal Rumble match where grip is everything. You know, like you got to be in control of people to throw them over the top rope. And he was having a very tough time.
He also got eliminated by Christian.
Did he? Who got the elimination? Did Seth? Because I thought Seth Rollins ran at him. Like, who got the official elimination for Braun Strowman?
And Christian.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see.
There's a team.
See, that's how much we care. The end of a Royal Rumble. So I guess in this case, where last year we talked about how great it was, I got to get to that point. I was so busy doing other things that I tried to pay enough attention to this Royal Rumble. But was this just not a very good Royal Rumble? I mean, obviously, we can go from Ethan's where he loves Edge, so it's just going to magically be good because Edge was the winner. But all around, in terms of start to finish, was this a good Royal Rumble match?
No, it was not.
I would say that all the people here didn't enjoy it at all. I had some guys over and no one was excited at all.
I think they did their best to like try to make us happy with like both of them having like popular people win. I think the Royal Rumble is always going to struggle without an audience. Like, you don't get the pops, and I mean, like, one thing that also I had to find out afterwards, like, all of a sudden Keith Lee wasn't in it, and then like the returns were small to minimum.
Fuck, we are doing a number on Christian's reputation right now. God damn.
I think he's.
I mean, Carlito was nice. Hurricane returned last year or the year before. Like,
probably
he's pretty regular at this point. Like, and like I said, yeah. I mean, we already talked about Seth. Like, 4 or 5 returns is hard to do. Now, if they would have thrown in a Brock Lesnar, that would have been at least a shock, and hopefully not win. But
yeah.
No, it was a very like. I think the end of the Royal Rumble of it just being that Edge wins is a high point, but the like middle act of it was very ho hum. It was very just kind of meh, and the returns were not. They didn't build towards much, except for maybe Christian having something else to do. I'm not opposed to seeing Carlito back. I mean, he looked great. He looked huge.
Sure. He's ate a lot of apples.
At the same time, he's still Carlito. So how far does that go? What's the ceiling for Carlito? And also, no, just because the guy I wanted to win won doesn't mean that I thought it was an amazing Royal Rumble. Like, I enjoyed it, but it just was very, lackluster, maybe. I don't know. The fact that Kane was in it was a fucking waste of a spot.
Forgot about that.
And then, didn't he? Who did he eliminate? Ricochet. He eliminates Ricochet, and then I think they kind of make up for it, letting Damian Priest throw him over. But fuck.
Yeah, and
Damian did well. Props to that.
I think every Royal Rumble you have a guy like an NXT guy or NXT guy or girl who comes in and really kind of shows up and shows their potential. And I think like last year, the year before, Bianca Belair, I think it was last year, Bianca Belair.
It was last year.
And then this year she wins it. And then like this year, it's like, who's going to be anyone that comes in and does that? Damian Priest, I think, was the guy, and he looked good. But everyone who I've talked to who doesn't follow NXT is like, they couldn't tell that he was good from the Rumble. Like if you've watched Damian Priest over the last year, like, yeah, he's good. He's very good. His character work needs some improvement, but overall he's a good wrestler and he's moving the right direction. But people who I've talked to that watch the Rumble that don't watch NXT didn't really get much out of Damian Priest from it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because you need those storylines going in that fit. Mm-hmm. And I think it was almost like, I don't know, it was good for the long-term storytelling of Edge to have Edge and Randy Orton start the match and finish the match. But I don't think it was good for the match. I think that was one of the bigger storylines that if you have them come out in the middle becomes this big moment, even without an audience there to pop for it. But it's a moment that gets you energized, and like you need those like spots when there's lulls in the Rumble. And instead, you started with them. That's the big one. One of the other big guys in it, the Fiend is not in the match, so people waited till the end and didn't get it like him to come out. So you're disappointed there. You have Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens going at it in a match before, and Kevin Owens isn't coming back out for double duty. He shouldn't, because he nearly died in that match, and we'll talk about that later. But there was just not enough of the people. Like I know I haven't been watching enough lately to say for sure that that storyline was there and this and that. But there, in terms of the major ones that I'm seeing from pay-per-views, and I've watched each of the pay-per-views, even if I'm missing the weekly shows more often, there's still just not enough going on. There's not enough of those little angles that can get you re-energized at different points in the Royal Rumble. So this one was kind of like dead on arrival. And in terms of putting Edge and Randy Orton out there first, they didn't do themselves, any justice. They didn't help themselves out by saving that for a later point in the match.
Yeah. And it didn't help that Randy Orton was like, did the whole injury, gone, come back, kind of angle in the Rumble too. It didn't really seem like it was even like that beneficial to his character of being like underhanded. It just kind of seemed like he didn't want to be in an hour-long Royal Rumble match. And, if you have him and Edge there the whole time, you could continue that, like those like flare-ups of this feud. But yeah, the Royal Rumble usually has every, 4 or 5 picks. There's something that happens that's storyline related. And you didn't really have that for kind of the bulk of it. Like I said, like the middle act of it was basically nothing. But the beginning of it had story, the end of it had story, but the middle was very bland.
Yeah, I would have probably rather had Christian get injured. Like that's another step of Randy Orton's. Like the first moment you get Christian back, maybe he gets an elimination, and then very quickly Randy Orton just beats the living hell out of him, leaves him just alongside the announce table, and he comes back later in the match. But that would have been a better like injury to have than just having Randy Orton gone the whole time. Because that's the one I want in the ring, like, kicking ass, and the deviousness of staying out the whole time. I was never under the assumption that he was going to come back and win the thing because, I've watched enough wrestling. But yeah, I try to think if there's anything else in the men's Royal Rumble. I do want to jump pretty quickly to talk about the women's, because I think as much as Edge winning, that's a big moment for Ethan and not a big moment for Wade, who just doesn't give a shit down there in the corner. But
Cool.
women's, I'll let Nate jump in for his last bit before we go women's Royal Rumble.
I agree on a lot of that. There was no other storylines basically throughout it. The last thing that I think should have been a bigger pop, they should have done it 6 more times, was Big George fucking catching AJ Styles, because that was funny, but they don't like capitalize on it. Like, it's like the whole Kofi always being able to like jump back in. I don't know why they've never had somebody be thrown over the top rope, land on one leg, and then just hop around, because it's always 2 legs.
Having the women's, the biggest one said was Casey Catanzaro. She had one where she landed on her back, but her foot was in the air. It was like, oh, that foot didn't hit the ground, and it was the dumbest thing that's ever happened in Royal Rumble history, and it should never happen again. The whole like, oh, one foot
I love it.
Is just the fucking worst thing ever.
It would have to be but she's not a heel. If it was a heel doing it, if the Miz did it,
and he scoots, then that would also make me actually probably side more with Mac and Wade and hate the Miz more. Like I'm an apologist on this show.
That's what you need from the Miz. Of all the mediocrity for all these years, that's what you need to hate the Miz.
Yes.
You're fucking kidding me.
But
so actually, the worst one was Naomi in this women's Royal Rumble. She did the just lay out there with the 2 feet in there, like they didn't touch. She made up for it by pulling on to God, my brain stopped working. Bianca Belair's hair to get back in. That made up for it a bit. But it was the dumbest. Like, it was like, we get that that's the rule. There can be ways to play with that, but you better have a really good fucking plan for it. Like, it's got to be like them jumping on one leg and then somebody else comes by and kicks them by running across the apron or something. Because
that's when Braun Strowman should run one over. You're like out there hopping and you just get play with it. Like you have all these ideas. Having Big George I still think Kofi or Big E Kofi should win it one year with Big E and Xavier just catching him all around the whole fucking time, 17 times. But you're like, how do they keep catching him? But that was that was my mistake. There was no other good storylines, and they didn't capitalize. But it's hard without an audience.
Yeah, that's for sure. Anybody else? Anything left on that Rumble before we get to the women's?
The Hurricane.
Yep. Okay. Nope. Wade is trying, I think. Wade, you might just have to take out the headset, and we'll have to deal with the feedback of just the phone mic.
I can never tell if Wade is frozen or having a stroke.
Yeah, we're getting nothing from Wade at this point. So women's Royal Rumble. Wade usually brings us good shit too. So it's sad. Yeah. It's sad that the tech stuff isn't working. But women's Royal Rumble. This is one that do we want to start with linear? We want to go from the beginning and describe things, or do we want to jump straight to obviously the big moment, the winner, and that moment.
Jillian.
I thought was really good. Jillian.
She wasn't the winner.
Let's go Bianca Belair. Let's jump to the top of the card, because I think that moment particularly, and then we'll talk about how we got there. But, the same way I think Ethan probably felt about Edge last year, not what he won, but just him coming back. Man, Bianca Belair got me on the speech afterwards. And those speeches, they're bad so often. Like, you try to go with the real emotion. You try to let them just speak from the heart. And you can't get a good balance. It's either clearly fake and, not really good acting, or it's, just they're being real, but that's not good for TV real. They're not catching the moment. And she's the future of the women's division, because holy shit, not only can she go in the ring, not only can she talk on the mic, she is the EST. She proved it with that promo right there, because I love Rhea Ripley. She's been amazing. She's done amazing shit. But Rhea Ripley is yet to cut a promo like that, and this is one where it's not just talking shit. I love talking shit promos, and Rhea does some of those decently. But if Bianca Belair, who just talks shit, can get me to tear up about her journey and making it there, like, holy shit, that she's going places. Like, that was an amazing moment.
Did you watch the Chronicle before?
No, I didn't get to watch it.
So that got me too. The Chronicle is what got me, like, again, teary-eyed. Like, there's something about her that is so genuine.
Is it new?
That it is you want to see her succeed. And I've always been a fan of hers. But then after watching that WWE Chronicle, it was more like she better fucking win the Royal Rumble. She better be the world champion at WrestleMania. She's the as far as when you're looking at a reaction of somebody who just puts their heart and soul into it and gives it back to you and makes you feel that as a wrestling fan in the women's division, she's number one. It's not even close. There are amazing stars in the women's division right now, but somebody who can literally make you feel something on an emotional level in wrestling is what you want when you're watching wrestling. And no one can do it better right now than Bianca Belair.
I feel like, yeah, ever since she started, I mean, kayfabe wise or whatever, I feel like she's always seemed the most same person in the ring as out of the ring.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, you've heard it from all of the greats from all time. Like when they finally started being themselves, turned up, they're the best. And she did that the second she started NXT, and she just needs to keep whipping people with her hair.
Yeah.
And I'll be
Exactly.
I'll be happy forever.
So yeah, her personality is one that it's real. It is, you know, whether it's natural or whether she's just built herself into the type of public speaker that she did it immediately. It didn't take that much time. It took a while to figure out exactly how it fits into the scheme of NXT. But in terms of having it, like she showed it from the start, and to be that type of personality where when she is herself can be a heel. And I think this is what we see often. They usually can do one or the other very well. And it's hard for them to flip the switch without becoming a completely different person, which sometimes works, but a lot of times it doesn't. She is still the same person, and she's willing to lean into the heel. She doesn't care if you boo her. If she's the good guy, we just saw one of the best promos as a face winning that Royal Rumble and speaking from the heart. So the fact that she can do both, like that's something that I wouldn't even imagine. Like watching her, I thought she was extremely talented in NXT. She could do so much. I was mostly watching for the in-ring stuff because she's very athletic, and it was just like, okay, how fast is she going to pick this up? She picked it up hella fast. That was the only concern for me, but I still didn't even think that this was what she was capable of. I wasn't aware that she could pull this off. And yeah, it got me going. I was super excited from it. And especially because, you know, I wasn't trying to make a dig at Rhea Ripley, because I do also think she's somebody who is just going to do some amazing stuff.
Yes.
And to make those two be the ones facing off was perfect. Like, and they got to eliminate Charlotte together.
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
she doesn't go here, she's out, and it was good. Like that was the way to set it up. They did a lot of the classic spots. We've talked about that before, where with the Women's Royal Rumble, it's fresh. You've only done it a few years, so there's a lot of stuff. It's tried and true. We've seen it in the Men's Royal Rumble, and maybe if you did it in the men's, you might be like, that's old. But if you do it with these top women at the end of a Royal Rumble, it's fresh. And having them do the spot where they both flip each other over and nearly fall out, but they both sit on the apron and like, let's just get back in the ring and fight again. Those spots are so great, and they together, they're great performers. They did them well together.
Yeah, and that takes so much trust, not just from each other, but also from the top. You know, from Vince. Of it being like, we trust you to finish a Royal Rumble with both people on the apron or come close to it at least. Like, you know, like even like when Asuka won the Rumble, you know, having any spot where the final two people in the Rumble are both on the apron at the same time is like, all right, well, this is your career. Like, if you fuck this up, you're probably not going to get, you know, the
chance.
Need. And yeah, with Bianca's promo and her work and her development, like somebody who grows and develops and just takes on, like, I'm not going to say that she's The Rock, but that's what it reminds me of. It does. Like, literally that level of development and level of, like, you look at them and you're genuinely like, this isn't somebody struggling to play a part. This is somebody who is just naturally built for this. She's on the level of it, you know, at least growing towards a Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch or whoever. You know, I think she's in that trajectory.
I was going to compare it like that heel to like that you're such a good heel you become face to Stone Cold and to like Kevin Owens kind of thing, where you're like, you're still being bad, but we love you.
Cool.
Yeah.
The problem comes when Vince sees you're a face now and like, all right, we got to make you do face things. Like, no, let them keep doing what they're doing because it's fucking working.
Almost fucked up Becky Lynch by the end of her run.
So with the comparison to The Rock, that's the thing. in NXT, that's literally all they're doing with the women they're bringing in. They're like, we're going to turn them all into The Rock. And as it turns out, you're rarely going to get that talent. And so it's a little weird. And I don't think it's even a bad idea. I think even when you get somebody, to say something like Sasha, that something's missing. She's doing so much of it. She brings so much to wrestling, to WWE. But that talent, the thing that we're describing for Bianca Belair, Sasha doesn't quite have. She's trying her best. But I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's a bad idea to keep doing that with as many superstars as you can. Just being like, we're going to turn you into this multi-talented, you can go do anything. And, in this case, I'm ripping on Sasha, but she's the only one who successfully got a real TV show. She went on to be in The Mandalorian. I think Charlotte did some bad acting in Psych for an episode. It's very tough. Yeah, that happened. It's very tough to do that. I watched, but I was watching for Psych. I didn't watch it because USA told me to go watch it for Charlotte. I was just like, why the fuck's Charlotte here? This is weird. But Sasha has made it. She's made some crossover. I still think she's got some work on the promo game. Bianca Belair's coming in. It's like, I have no doubts. And normally I'm sitting there trying to rip on whoever the smart favorite is. If you tell me they're great and I didn't see shit from them yet in NXT, I'm going to judge them just as harshly as smart fans judge Baron Corbin. That's what I'm going to do. But Bianca Belair's already won me over. She's already so good that whatever she does, I'm excited. I'm mostly scared. I'm mostly scared that Vince will ruin it. He'll either get rid of the good qualities, he'll make her lose a match in 4 seconds to Charlotte, or God forbid Bayley at WrestleMania, and then I'll have no idea what to do. But
literally,
if they do it right, she can do a lot of good stuff. And Ethan, I'll let you get in with whatever that retort was because I still didn't hear it.
I said they give me chills, and bad chills. They give me negative chills. Made me very sad once you brought up Bayley beating Bianca Belair at WrestleMania.
Inverse of Bianca Belair's promo.
It'd be Sasha.
Take a 6 months.
Yeah.
Yes, if that
and I'm okay with Sasha.
I want to see who goes heel.
Promos. Yeah.
That's going to be what's fun, is who goes heel could project them for the next 2 years. And either one can do it, but if they do it wrong, whoever does it wrong, or if they do it wrong to whoever, because either one can do both, because they've both proven that, but I don't know who they want to do.
I'd prefer Sasha promos as heel, as long as Bayley isn't involved.
Yeah.
If you get Bayley out of the equation, I'm in with Sasha as a heel.
If she can go full NXT, I'm the boss. You won the Royal Rumble, but I'm the boss. With big cars like Snoop Dogg, well, he won't now because he went to AEW, but bring back everything that makes her the richest, baddest thing. We'll fall in love with her again. And then when Bianca wins it, you're gonna be like, yay, she beat the bad guy. And then she can start whipping people with her hair and be heel, and it'll be a great run of a champion. What they try to do with Bayley from face to heel, but
it was good there were no fans there for that.
There's what?
It was good there were no fans there for Bayley's title run. It was good. Fuck.
Yeah. Again,
not a fan.
I'm not a fan of the storytelling. I don't necessarily blame any of the wrestlers at this point. They're told to do this, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
they know themselves better.
And it's hard to figure out half the time, when they decide to make these decisions that kind of curtail them. Because, we talked about Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair being trusted to go out there at the end of a Royal Rumble match and do what they need to do to get over. And then, I don't know, it doesn't even seem to be it's trust loss, because a lot of these guys, guys and gals, Vince still puts into big situations. He just very often meddles at the wrong time and takes them off track. And so those are the worst moments is, if you have Bianca Belair going the right way, and the more it's working, the more likely Vince is to step in. You're like, God damn it. Just stay out of the way for a bit. Let them do it. Because that's the other thing with trying to make a Rock type, particularly if you're doing that with all the NXT women. It's at some point, you have to get out of the way, because Vince wasn't telling The Rock, here's everything you need to do. Now, he gave him a shit ton of writers to make sure everything was polished, but he wasn't sitting there saying, I need you to be this version of The Rock. The Rock's like, I'm going to do what I need to do because I know how to make those motherfuckers pop. and he let him do it. And so if Vince can let a lot of these talented superstars, whether like he seems to let Charlotte do it, and Charlotte, it's 50-50. Even as a heel, it's 50-50 whether she nails the promo. So, and her nailing is just like still the like, it's not X-Pac heat, but it's more on that side than like heel we love. Like a lot of her good promos are like, well, I liked it because I hate you now. Like, so you did a good job, Charlotte. But like if that's the level and you trust her, I don't know why you wouldn't trust somebody, particularly Bianca Belair, when you think capable of doing.
I had a moment like that. I think it was it was Royal Rumble, and it was when like Charlotte said her piece, and then Asuka starts getting her promo in Japanese, and Charlotte is just kind of like gawking at her, where it's like, oh, she doesn't know what else to do. She's just gonna stare and kind of give like a weird half smile for the next 45 seconds, and it was like just this weird pause. Also, sorry, I had to leave for a second. My cat almost hung herself in the blinds. She's what? Just a fucking.
Was she watching a Bailey match?
No, I moved where I keep the food.
No, a Randy Orton one.
She was trying to get at her food and got this whole fucking thing. Anyway, but Charlotte there's something. She's like 9.5 tenths of the way of being, the best of the best, but there's always something that slips or misses or is just flat. And as far as like you said, creating the next Rock is kind of like first of all, don't be the next me. You try to be the first you. If you saw the Page movie, but there's like some element of that of you kind of just have to have the talent there, but not stifle them more than trying to like make it your own talent or make it your own idea.
Yeah,
she needs a mouthpiece because, like, I mean, they as much as they like write stuff for her, if she had a Page be her manager. And just let Paige Shock be the Paul Heyman, and she's the Brock Lesnar. I mean, she's the most athletic, other than maybe Bianca now. Charlotte is so athletic, can do anything, and yet they make her fight her dad.
Right?
Like what?
Like they haven't really tried to move her character very far beyond where she first kind of came on to Raw and SmackDown, of just being like. And they're not even doing the angle of her trying to get out of her dad's shadow. She just is literally trying to get out of her dad's shadow. And how you have
I think she's trying to get into her dad's shadow. I think that's the thing. Is like
people
are pushing her out of it. They're like, "You're really good at wrestling. We don't even think of Rick anymore when we see you wrestle." And she's like, I got the robe.
Right.
Give me the Flair credit. Like she's pushing herself back into the shadow as often as she can, and I don't understand why.
Either way, I mean, and now it's more relevant, doing that. Honestly, this might be the best thing for her, the angle that they're doing with Rick and Lacey Evans. But
it's gross.
It's very.
That's the beauty, I think. I don't know.
It's also very like, where do you go from here? Like, what's the next angle for Charlotte to actually elevate? And sorry, I just saw an ad for a show called Young Rock on NBC.
Yeah, you didn't know about that?
Nope, just found out, and I'm going to turn away from it. So Charlotte Flair being amazing in the ring, and not even like Brock Lesnar level bad on the mic. You just kind of like nothing, just kind of bland on the mic, not like bad. Which I guess bland is bad when you're trying to hype people up, but either way, it's like I don't know what you do next for that. As far as how do you give her a mouthpiece without making it seem like a step back for her?
I don't know. She gets a throat injury, can't talk for a while, gets the mouthpiece, and by the time her throat is healed, we've already forgot about it.
I think what if she just started like losing for like 6 months straight, where she's the most athletic person, but she just can't figure it out. Then like almost build sympathy, like.
And then very quickly, smart fans accuse it of being ripping off Becky Lynch's game plan. And then I think the big thing is there's not a lot of ways out of it. I think you could just immediately throw in a manager and that could work. I think when you're talking about Brock Lesnar, I think the big thing though is like they're starting to get other big athletic people. And, I think if you're going to do anything, and I know Ethan hates Nia Jax, but Nia Jax would be somebody, or you need somebody that's closer to that size that is going to be a Brock Lesnar type. I think Charlotte's like rip off Randy Orton, but just do it in reverse. Like instead of being the one who is the legend killer, she is the career killer. She's taking out the youth.
I want Randy to do that so bad.
But
Randy needs to be like, I'm the legend and I'm the fucking newbie killer.
Yeah.
Would give him 2 more years of actually being okay.
Kill you before your legend can even start, kind of a thing. Like,
yeah.
But I think I'm fine with Randy keeping what he's doing as long as, give it to somebody like Charlotte, who's just going around and instead of letting her cut promos, why do you need that? Just have her be diabolical, taking people out that she knows is a threat to her crown. And that is the perfect gimmick. And you don't even need a manager. You could. The manager would still help in this case, but she could do it and just talk less.
And Charlie finds her backstage. Charlotte, why'd you do that? And she just walks off. I was starting to love it.
Same gawk look that upset Ethan earlier, but she just does that to the announcer and then leaves.
No, because Carly Caruso is the one announcer that somehow knows how to move her face just slightly different to where she's not just staring off into space like every other announcer is when someone just bails after a promo. Because it's just this like Charlie Caruso seems to have like an impact. Like
she loved The Office.
There's a little something else, and that's why she's on ESPN, and you're not.
Facts.
That's accurate. So anything else? We just got the joke in with Jillian, which sucked.
I want the Jillian Billy tag team. They shouldn't have got rid of Iconics. I think it'd be hilarious.
I do think that. I think that splitting up the Iconics, I still think that was stupid.
Yes.
I think that Billie Kay is making the most of it, and that she's somebody who maybe isn't, in ring, isn't going to be the best worker ever. But as far as like creativity and talent goes, like whatever bullshit they hand her, I think she's going to make it at least entertaining. I think she's one of the funniest people to be on WWE television in the last decade. You just kind of got to give her a little chance. And I think like her basically just trying to recruit people on the entrance ramp to team up with her in the Rumble and then getting her ass kicked over and over again. I think you could have doubled down, got about, twice as long with it, and it would have been even better. But I thought that was a good angle. I thought that was funny because it's like, it buys into her, it buys into somebody who's in that company who will never be a Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch, but also doesn't have to be nothing. It's somebody who can make something out of that character and do very well at it just because she's, from a comedy standpoint, especially, she's very talented. And she's not a terrible worker either in the ring. Like I'd say maybe middle of the road as far as her in-ring work goes. But as far as character and comedy goes, she's top tier. She's a very talented person. I think they know that. I just think they're still working on figuring it out.
So I'd say don't go longer on the Billie Kay part of the Royal Rumble. You could go a little longer, but not like twice as long. Like they did it about right. They added to the match without it just slowing down what they started doing in the latter stages. I would say that the biggest problem was the finish, which was Shayna Baszler. She missed the punch when she punches the headshot, and the headshot should have been like Billie Kay holding it to her side and then like bringing it in front of her face, and then Shayna punches her. That would have been the better finish to that whole thing. Once again, little things that I don't know how people that have been in wrestling for years can't figure these things out and like send these wrestlers out there to do. It's a little crazy that they mess up those type of spots that seem easy. Seem like it should be fairly simple to pull that off.
I do have one other thing. Having Shotzi Blackheart go out so early and so soon, I know it's kind of homerism, I guess, just from us being Dirty Pro fans, but like still, that's somebody who she's been not necessarily rocket strapped, but she's been making a very steady, growth. And then just for her to barely be in there, be the first person eliminated. And that Rumble was kind of weird because they didn't really, I think through the first 15 picks or so, only 2 people got eliminated, something like that. Like,
I think they just Shotzi out of nowhere, like is the only one eliminated in that time frame.
All people who you're going to throw out, Shotzi Blackheart, and then, oh, don't worry, Jillian lasts 15.
Just kicking ass. Jillian and Billie Kay kicking ass. Shotzi over the top. Bye-bye.
Shotzi could have been somebody who you make like, that could have been your Iron Man. That could have been your through line. That could have been somebody who makes that like they're in the top 6 point kind of, oh, I didn't expect this person to be here. The Matt Riddle, I guess, equivalent of this year's Rumbles. But instead she's just gone. I thought that was fucking stupid.
So I would say with Shotzi, you're right in terms of like they've had her host multiple NXT events that otherwise nobody was really paying attention to, and she made a lot of stuff really stand out. But I do want to get, before we completely bias Nate's opinion, I want the pure opinion from Nate. How do you feel about Shotzi Blackheart so far in WWE?
I definitely enjoy her. I'm confident Vince has no idea what the fuck to do. What do you do with a girl who drives around a Power Wheel tank? I don't think. Yeah, I think it's gonna be boom. But no, I've enjoyed her. I don't know if I necessarily say I think she's done. I mean, hosting. What was it? Halloween Havoc? Like hosting it versus actually doing something in it. I mean, I didn't think she did a lot in the War Games other than shoot the outside of a cage. But I don't I don't hate her. Like, I want to see more. They haven't done much, in my opinion, with her. Yeah, it was weird that they had so many in it from the very get-go. They kind of just were like flipping a coin of who to kick out first,
but they also didn't kick anybody out very quickly after. It was like she's the only one. Like, let's clear out the ring. No, we can slow down.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know necessarily if they. I mean, not to bring the men's back and have a full story, but they didn't have storylines or things to like make afterwards. That's why, if anything, that's why I brought up the Billy and Jilly. I thought like that would be cute to just have this comedy tag team that actually is a fucking tag team in the women's division, because they keep just pairing random people. All of a sudden now, Lana and Naomi are number one contenders, and you're like, what the fuck? The person who gets put through a table 8 weeks in a row and the girl who just came back are number one contenders? No, that's not how you do that. And
also, maybe pair Naomi with somebody who can wrestle. That might help. Could that improve?
Yeah, that could help. That could really increase at least believability somewhat, other than like continue making a joke out of it. Like,
yeah, I say you go back to pairing Nia Jax and Tamina, and then you don't put either of them on TV. That would be awesome.
Fuck, man.
Is this when I say kind of like Nia Jax's character, even though she hurts people?
I love Nia Jax. I think everything she does wrong just hurts people, which is a great thing for a wrestler to do.
If she was doing this on purpose, it would be a great character, but she's not. Terrible.
Okay.
I think it's just girls being too weak. You can't help it when you're like 60 pounds bigger than all of them. They deserve to get hurt. The Undertaker would have hurt you.
No, like a Ryback situation where he's killing guys who are proven workers. No, this just happens to break some faces and she breaks some arms. It's okay.
No, you go back to Andre the Giant, the greatest fucking big man ever, who rarely hurt people. Just because he's bigger doesn't mean that you should get hurt.
Yeah, he was also chucking around like 6'6" behemoths.
No, Nia Jax
he wasn't chucking around 5'2", 140-pound girls that are running around in the ring. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, but Andre the Giant wasn't clumsy. Nia Jax is clumsy.
But if you look back at Andre the Giant now, you would go like, I don't know if that some of that stuff was believable. Nia puts it in tight to the point of someone probably gets hurt, but if she didn't, she would look like she was like, I'm sorry. Oh, let me drop you softly. She has to.
Nia Jax is bringing back kayfabe by fucking injury.
Yes. So I'm going to argue against both people because I do have to defend Andre the Giant. I think the conversation always goes to Andre and what he did versus Hulk Hogan in the first couple of WrestleManias. You know, that window of people remembering Andre is from WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 4 until he can't walk anymore. He's done at that point. So his biggest fame in wrestling is when it's over. If you go and watch any of the stuff from earlier, he's a monster, and that stuff does look real because he's hurting them, not in terms of physically like breaking any bones or anything, but he's stretching them out. He's making them work for their money, and he's really damn good at it. So it's really just in that period where he became super famous and he's the big foil to Hulk Hogan. His body is gone at that point, so he's not able to do very much for him.
And yeah, he hurt people, but didn't like put people on the shelf. I mean, he was like physical and it hurt, but it wasn't like dangerous and clumsy.
Or he put people on the shelf, but it was 100% on purpose. It was never accidental.
Yeah, if he did, if you were on the shelf,
he went up on the shelf. It's because he wanted you to be there, but you know, he took care.
Nia Jax didn't want Becky Lynch to have a broken nose. Come on, man, don't be a fool.
I just in a brawl like that, you know, you're turning around and like it wasn't a lot of time to aim and pick. And are you gonna do?
I don't know. I was there. We went to that, and Ethan was on the other side, so he got really close to Corey Graves, and it made him excited. I was behind the normal announce table is, so I was pretty close. I got to watch this stuff. I got video, and I went back to watch. I'm like, oh, she's aiming. Like Nia had time to look back. That was a quick turnaround. Like she had time.
It was not. She got fucking lucky. She got so lucky that ended up.
And then she's like, "Oh, did they catch that? That's not good. I'm in trouble."
Christ.
Well, like it's better than the AEW video of that Dark Order guy punching Dusty Rhodes. That was like, am I punching you guys? Do you feel that? Like, and that was on video.
That wasn't worse. That wasn't worse because no one got put on the fucking shelf. Like and honestly, I think if I was The Rock's cousin, I would have hurt less people by now.
Pretty sure Becky Lynch came back bigger than ever. But that's all we need to talk about.
Because of Becky Lynch, not because of Nia Jax.
We've already litigated this.
Get bloody.
That's true. That image cemented it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it stopped a match that I think would have ruined where that was going. Like if Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch face off at Survivor Series, it's not the same. Like it's just not the same, man.
Yeah, it's a freak luck thing. Like my parents are lucky they didn't use protection and I was an accident. All right, like that's.
Are you saying that you're like not a awesome person that's helping out this podcast? Are you putting yourself into the category of throw you away like you're trying to throw Nia Jax's career away?
You know,
what are we trying to do?
Now I've got you in the corner because either I'm right or I'm awesome, and I'm okay that you have to admit one of those two things.
No. So as we move on to the rest of this, I was trying to think. There were other ones. There were Tori Wilson as a surprise entrant, Victoria, which was weird that like I think if the fans were there, it would have been a good moment.
Yeah.
She was one that she'd been kind of talking shit that they like said she was supposed to be on one and then didn't actually invite her to it and whatever. So there was that beef going on. So Victoria coming back was I think I wish it would have happened a few years ago, and I wish it was in a spot that mattered more because I feel like she was one that back in the day, it was not quite the Beth Phoenix level, but like just throwing bitches around. It was fun. So I was hoping to see a little more of that, and they didn't really do that when they brought her in this one.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there was anything else that stood out as things that either I forgot about that were really good or things that should have been better but didn't quite work.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of the third act is also kind of like, all right, all that matters is that Bianca Belair wins. You have the moment of Charlotte getting eliminated. There's bits to it, but towards the end of it, it was kind of more just about the outcome being the most important part, kind of like the men's Rumble.
Yeah. Nate, any last thoughts?
I think that covered it. It was meant to have a happy ending. I think I would have been okay with Rhea winning too. I would have made it better for her shit show with Charlotte last year, but Bianca was.
See, for that reason, good. I want Charlotte to win. I want Charlotte to screw Rhea Ripley over one more time. So when Rhea finally gets the big win, it's like, think of how many times Charlotte tried to.
I mean, maybe they could still do it again. Rhea could literally be like, I was supposed to face you at Raymond James Stadium last year, and I was supposed to beat you, and then they some reason made me lose, which was still stupid. But I get my revenge this year. It's 2 days. Last I heard, they're doing 2 days again.
I think so.
They could have it and not be a title match. Oh my God, a women's match that's not a title match? What kind of story is that?
I don't think it can happen, man. That's
No, I don't
bold.
think so either.
I do have a question.
It makes sense, so it probably won't happen.
The Royal Rumble, at the Royal Rumble, the WrestleMania sign that they point to is still one from last year. Is that just because that's the only recent WrestleMania sign they have, or are they planning on like
Well, they're going back to Tampa, right?
To a Rumble,
Yeah.
We'll do it at Raymond James Stadium. Is that their plan?
The tips are a little different. Last year, one went one way and one went the other, and now they both go the same way. But
that's funny.
Yeah, I think it's we're just gonna because like the video package is like the same video game Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Now with everybody else, so
I think that's it's a fine choice. I think when you didn't have the actual in person, I would say it'd be a good redo if like WrestleMania was as bad as it should have been. In this case, I enjoyed the cinematic matches they did, so that kind of made it work. There were some very low points of WrestleMania, but I think there was enough good things that I walked away and I'm like, all things considered, that's fine. So you don't need to like erase it from history and be like, just kidding, this is the only WrestleMania that's in Tampa is happening this year. But it is good to be like, all right, we missed it last year, we're gonna go back and maybe try a little bit harder on the redesign of the logo and the videos, but not a big deal. They spent a lot of money on the 8K camera, which is the next thing I want to ask. How'd you guys feel about that? Apparently Nate didn't like it at all. Ethan, how'd you feel about 8K?
It's okay.
8K.
I didn't.
That's it. It's okay.
I didn't know we were playing video games.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't.
So
I don't.
So when you guys have watched on NFL, did you feel the same way as with this, where it's like, whatever?
I don't know if I noticed on NFL.
So in NFL, they've started doing it. Fox has it and CBS has it, and it's like sideline breaks, and they'll just go up. Like Aaron Donald will be standing there jumping up and down, and they'll just kind of like spin the camera around him, and it's the 8K. So they've only done that occasionally, and it's never been like live game action where they've gone to an 8K camera. But like for me, I've seen a difference between CBS doing it and Fox doing it. Fox, like I said, they swivel around. They try to use it in a way that it looks cinematic. They're putting somebody with some artistry behind the camera or in the production truck. And then CBS is just kind of sitting there like, we got 8K, guys. And I feel like that's what WrestleMania, or that's what Royal Rumble did. That's what WWE did with it, was like they put it at the front and it had one good shot. So like Rhea comes out and she looks like she's in Mad Max. Like she's got the 8K going. And then she runs down, though. Everybody running down looked awful, though, because the camera just sat there waiting. And you're just like, well, that not the point of the camera. Like you can't, it doesn't look just beautiful. Like it's not this like breathtaking shot if you're not doing something cool with it.
I know.
And it's weird because WWE is partnered up with Fox. You think they could have talked with the guys at Fox that have been doing it successfully, but they didn't. They're just like, I don't know, this
Kevin
is cool. Put it at the front.
It reminds me of being in film school, and all of the kids that had the most expensive equipment were just like rich dickhead frat guys, and every single one of their movies was about a dude who like wanted to be a UFC fighter, and it was just trash. So I don't know, fucking do something with it. You have this amazing technology, do something better. Like fucking hire somebody better who's more artistic, that's going to give you those angles, that gives you an edge, because you know there is a room for creative, new shit in wrestling production. Look at Lucha Underground when it first came out. Is like,
Yes.
You wouldn't have ever expected to see something like that in wrestling, and then the way they presented it was amazing. And until it got into the later years and got fucked up. But like it's one of those things that there are people out there that'll do something with this amazing technology. You don't just have to have like, hey, here's the same single shot that we would do anyway with the normal camera and it would look fine, but now it's just a better quality camera. Like, find ways to build your product around the advancement of technology rather than just kind of doing what you're already doing with slightly better technology.
I agree.
Find cool technology. Don't let Kevin Dunn use it. Got it.
Yes.
It's also me and my frustrations with the iPhone 11. That's exactly what's happening right now.
I feel like Jim or like John Morrison's intro, that slow motion thing, it should be for like 2 or 3 people on the ramp, and then for a couple other people, it needs to be that on the ropes, arms up thing, and just wrap around. Like, You could almost have it for everybody, but do it at different parts.
Mm-hmm. You could even do it at the finish of a match and make it
would be really cool. But to do it for everybody, and it for me, it just looks like the old, like the crappier 2008 Raw SmackDown video games where you're like the background looks fake, you look like pixelated in the front, but you're the focal point. No. And I didn't even know you guys were going to talk about that. And I was like, I've been
me neither
bitching about that out loud.
See, and I think originally when I first saw it, like the video of Aaron Donald got me psyched. And then, I started seeing it more often where, it's just kind of like part of it is like our brains aren't ready for it. It's like that something, the uncanny valley. So our brain is not ready for like an android that looks too close to real, but not like we need it to be either perfect or like only give us a shitty robot. Because if you get it pretty close, it scares the shit out of us. And that's where the 8K video is right now.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I just wanted to knock that out before we do talk about a couple matches. I don't really care about most of them, and I'll let you guys talk about as many that you do care about. I do want to talk about Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Because, God, that was fun. And I feel like even as it was happening, there were just way too many wrestling fans that were like, well, Kevin Owens doesn't have a shot of winning. I'm like, who gives a shit? He's getting run over by a golf cart. He's getting thrown off of this display and through a table. And then he did a freaking swanton bomb. Fat Boy does a swanton onto Roman off of the big freaking lift. Like, if that doesn't get you excited to think maybe he might accidentally win this match, then you're watching wrestling wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to go in. I get that, like, WWE does do a better job of storytelling, but if you got those guys selling in the ring the way they did, it doesn't matter if it was just kind of pushed at the end and Kevin Owens came out of nowhere of the mid-card to all of a sudden be a guy who gets, like, 3 straight title matches. At least they're putting on a goddamn show, guys.
Yeah. No, you said that perfectly. You're watching wrestling wrong. Like, the way it shouldn't be, like, especially once you get ready to WrestleMania season. And even the way, like, you and me and Wade all talk to each other, like, it's just kind of like there's like fantasy booking is involved in every conversation. When you're watching wrestling, your fantasy booking should be an afterthought. It shouldn't be like, well, he's not going to win because this is what's going to happen to Mania and this is who's going to come back or whatever, yada, yada. It's just like, just watch wrestling for what it is and enjoy it. And that's how wrestling should be. Like, you have to, like, the second that I turn on a pay-per-view, all of my fantasy booking shit goes out the window. I don't even try to think about what the company's going to do, who just signed a contract or any shit like that. I watch it for entertainment's sake and enjoyment, the same way that I, did when I was a kid. Like, you have to. And obviously there's stuff in the back of your head that's going to keep you from totally sinking into it or immersing yourself. But yeah, if you're watching that match and you don't think that Kevin Owens can win, then fine, don't watch the match. Fuck you. Don't watch the match. But if you're going to sit there and watch the match, that's one of the most fun matches I've watched in a while. Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, I think they have an awesome chemistry. I think that they have had an awesome chemistry. Go all the way back to when Owens was a Universal Champ, and it's like there's just something there between those two that works. And the match they put on was amazing. Every spot they put together was great. The finish was good. The frustration is good. It doesn't bury Kevin Owens. It doesn't make him look weaker because he got cheated, but it's like he's had enough opportunities to where, like, you can move him away from that picture without it making his character weaker. Like, that's how you keep wrestlers at the top rather than just burying them after a feud.
All right, Nate, I want to get your opinion before I pile on to this idea. How did you feel about this match and then this feud in general with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens going back and forth?
At this point, I struggle with just the last man standing, like, persona theme, whatever. Because it just, part of it is the announcers, whatever, but when you're 2 minutes in, they're like, oh, the ref's counting! And you're like, I know. But we also know it's not going to happen. Like, it takes those big ones. The last two that I really liked were the Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa one, and NXT, and then the Asuka and Nikki Cross one, where Asuka basically fell off and was on her feet. Those kind of fun ones where you think they're both dead. Otherwise, I did kind of like, even though from what I understand, it was kind of botched, was when Roman was handcuffed It reminded me of when John Cena duct taped Batista's legs. Those kind of things where you like, no, I'm literally like holding you down. You can't get up because that's technically the rules. I technically also was drunk, so I don't remember exactly how it ended. But I know it was right after that. But those kind of things, if anything, was what they should have done is done the reverse and have Kevin get handcuffed, and then you could just beat the shit out of him until like even when he had 9 seconds and he's like, ah, fuck. And then you could have beat him up more. But no, it's all about, the big spots. And Kevin Owens, for a big guy, does amazing big spots. And that's why he's always had good chemistry with everybody. That's why he has great ladder matches going back, him and Generico. Like, you put him where he has to do some stupid stunt, and he's going to do it. And it's nice to see Roman do them because in past, Austin didn't do them. Rock didn't do them. You have the head guy taking some of those crazy.
Are you telling me that Stone Cold didn't get thrown off a bridge?
Or hit by a car? Come on.
I think you're trying to ruin my childhood, man.
Well,
right.
Supposedly Roman was in or no, he wasn't. He drove the truck. He murdered Braun.
He murdered Braun, and Braun came back.
He ran over him there. But still, there's a lot less that they did.
No, I get what you're throwing down. I think a couple of the points, I'll figure out the first one. So for Last Man Standing, I think there are those moments that stand out, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And I think it all starts with Charlotte. I think everything goes back to blaming Charlotte. When she was in the Last Man Standing with Becky Lynch, there was one where she just like wasn't really up, but the ref counted it as up. Normally it's like you'd be fully on your feet standing, and then the count stops and they can start over. But Charlotte was not actually off the ground, and they just said the count stopped, and they started fighting a little bit later. But she just fell back down and never got up.
See, those are kind of fun, but I know what you're talking about.
So that moment, and now that happened like 3 times in this match. There were moments where Roman's just down, and then he's kind of back up. Kevin Owens kind of back up, and they fall again. I'm like, no, like you have to get back up, stand back up. You can't just like kind of got to your feet and fell back down again. It can't be lighter than the NFL touchdown rules, catch rules. Like, I need to see a movement after the catch or a movement after the 10 count. In this case, they started like once Charlotte got away with it once, they've done it a lot more, and it's kind of ruined the Last Man Standing match. And I wouldn't even like. I guess Gargano and Ciampa was good just because they're fighting each other. But in terms of using the rules of the match, I think it was just Asuka and Nikki Cross. I think they murdered it, and the fact that only like 4 people watched that is it's a travesty. Because it wasn't even in the top matches that year, except for us on this podcast.
Okay, cool. It. That's
But everywhere else I saw it, they just like it was never there. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess that happened. I'm like, it was fucking awesome. Go back and watch it. Like, I was pretty sure they both died.
Superplex off a ladder through the announce table, and then she just kind of her legs were there and she slid and held it. And I'm just like,
Asuka's character right now is just from the concussions from that match. Everything.
That's not racist. I hope I apologize.
Yeah, cool.
As long as you did it, I'm not involved.
The last episode of the Mickey and Mark podcast.
We've done worse.
I think we've been canceled. Wayne has done worse on a weekly basis.
I love Asuka. I support her.
No, I think that match, though, I mean, that's like one of the best matches of the last decade. Not even, I mean, and as far as like the format, like you said, it's a weird format. It's hard to do well without handcuffs.
Just don't bring handcuffs. Handcuffs have not worked in wrestling very well.
It worked in this match, and it worked in Gargano Ciampa, but
it worked in Gargano Ciampa. We'll agree to disagree on the other.
Also, handcuffs has worked in The Rock versus Mankind I Quit match.
See, I feel like that's a little different. It's not like, and even then they cheated it. To make The Rock win.
It did. And then, I mean, just the Last Man Standing in general is just like, how do you do this without it being, especially without Mike Chioda, his intense counting. Jesus Christ.
No Mike Chioda, still have Michael Cole. They picked the wrong Mike, and it was a big mistake on WWE's part.
Da Mike Chioda. I stole that from What Culture. Sorry, but
I got that.
yeah.
So yeah, I think in terms of the Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns chemistry, that's one that they have it. It's how you use it, and I feel like the match I'm not going to criticize at all, and I'm not going to go into a championship pay-per-view match where I know that these guys are going to kill each other and complain that they didn't build the story enough to legitimize one of the competitors. But one of the stories you going forward, if you do want to make a better rivalry with these two, is the obvious one, which is that Kevin Owens is a slob-looking mark, and Roman Reigns is the Adonis, perfect Vince McMahon selection for a superstar. And now Roman, he's a heel, and they always kind of, never really wanted to bring Vince in unless it was Roman saying, no, I'm not with Vince. And the fans are like, bullshit. He's pushed you down our throats for 4 years. So now is the perfect time to finally do it, where Vince is on the side of Roman. He wants the guy who looks like $1 million and is going to take WWE to, new highs. And the only one getting in the way is, chunky Kevin Owens, who keeps thinking he's a real wrestler. Like, if you do that story and Kevin Owens is just never going to back down, he's never going to let Roman just get a free pass to be the chosen one. You can tell that story, and that's a WrestleMania match. That's not just a Royal Rumble filler to get Roman closer to facing whether it's John Cena, The Rock, or Brock. And I'm pretty sure we're all going to be pretty disappointed if it's not either of those three. Is there a choice for facing Roman that is satisfactory? John Cena, The Rock, or Brock? Those
Daniel
are your
Bryan.
three. Okay, Daniel Bryan works, and then that one's also, I don't trust Vince to tell that story, but it's another good.
The next one I would say in the order would be Big E, but I don't think Vince knows what to do with Big E either.
I
think he needs more time, even though it's like 3 months away, 4 months away.
I think Big E could do it and win it. I think Big E could honestly put on that kind of a program. I don't think he will. I don't think he'll do it. But, if anyone right now who just talent-wise could go up, it does kind of seem like you're going to have to bring in, a legend. With how good this angle has been for Roman, you have to have somebody who at least believably is going to beat him. Again, going kind of back to if you're watching in the match, you're watching it wrong, but from an outside perspective of booking and thinking of long term, I don't know, leading up to that, what else it would be. There's not really anyone on SmackDown who stands out other than Big E as a competitor. And with the how good the head of the table gimmick has been, I do think it's The Rock. And if you do that, fuck yeah, I'm here for that.
Yeah, it's a short list of choices. I'll let Nate go real quick before I get to my punchline.
Part of it is me stealing from What Culture and what they're saying, but according to Roman, he wants it to wait till the Hollywood WrestleMania, which would be even bigger. But I think it's whichever one, Jimmy or Jay, is supposedly about on it.
Right face. That's the only way we recognize him.
Is about to come back. I think whoever does it needs to almost have a faction of their own and be able to take out those two, so that it's kind of if anything, that's where Kevin should go. He should get a tag team partner and kind of set up to take those guys out, and then Big E or a Daniel Bryan can come up and be like, "You're our guy. We helped block the road for you." But that might not be, and this is what Culture said, until WrestleMania next year.
Yeah,
they could keep throwing guys at him for that long, especially now if they get 3 people. If they get both Usos back, you have to go through those 2 guys to get to the third, and it could last a year. But I don't trust WWE's long-term booking.
I don't trust him either, but when you say it that way, the first idea I had in my head, I'm like, you can't do that in 2 months, and Vince definitely can't do it in 2 months, which is, if it's Kevin Owens...
Exactly why he's going to do it.
It's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and then Daniel Bryan is the one who ends up being the guy who faces off with him, and it's just a smart trio that's going up against the dominant power, the chosen group by Vince McMahon.
Otherwise, it could be, if they did put New Day back together, you would have Kofi and Xavier, but they'd have to.
And
That's
then
a pretty good option.
Then you get that rivalry back of New Day versus Usos, which
it would be beautiful. My nipples are hard. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
So, Ethan, I'll let you finish.
No, that's it.
Okay. So I was going to say, if you're going to figure out who it is for this year, if you can't figure out something on the fly, you're running out of legends. Because, I mean, you already got rid of the option of pulling Goldberg back again because you already fed him to Drew McIntyre, which I'm glad they made the right choice in the finish. I still am not going to do what, and Nate brought up What Culture enough times. I did watch a little bit of What Culture, propping up the idea that people overreacted to Goldberg being a part of it, and they actually did fine. And no, they didn't. Stop bringing Goldberg back when he looks exhausted doing any move in the ring at this point. And when he does the spear, that is fine.
Yeah.
But the moment he nearly killed Undertaker with the jackhammer, you should have stopped. And Drew McIntyre did everything he could to make this one not look bad. And it still just looked like Goldberg had no idea whether it was going to be successful. And he just hoped and prayed. And luckily, he didn't murder the eventual champion of the match. So
they predicted Edge versus Roman, spear versus spear. And that wouldn't be terrible. That is a legend. Then you just have to figure out who's facing McIntyre. Which he's got a lot more options.
I can live with Edge as long as it makes sure that the Goldberg thing is impossible. But I just, it's really, at this point, and what I don't understand is, particularly with no crowd, there's not a benefit of having Goldberg. There's nothing left. And I think at this point, it's looking so bad. I don't think the old Mark fans that still love Goldberg want to see him out there, barely able to accomplish his 2 moves that he does. It's too bad at this point.
He almost killed The Undertaker. Fuck him. Get him out of here. Keep him out of here. I'm done. I was never even that. I never honestly really gave a shit about Goldberg in my entire life. And the last 6 months has reaffirmed that I was correct, even at the age of 9 years old.
So here's my argument. I think the first comeback was fine. I think that they're the same style of matches. They keep thinking they can replay it. I think those first 2 matches with Brock Lesnar, they did him perfectly because it did tell a story. They were, it was short, but it did everything it was supposed to. And now they just look like they're in the ring all right, which spot did they tell us to do again? Oh, yeah, hit a spear here, hit a Claymore here. And they're doing what, we always made fun of Baron Corbin for doing. He's always looking for the spot. Good wrestlers, if Drew McIntyre is starting to look for a spot, I know Goldberg does because he's not really a great wrestler. Once he loses the athleticism, there's not much draw there. But he's making Drew McIntyre look bad in the ring for parts of this match. That's such a horrible sign because Undertaker's old. I get it. Yeah. If Drew McIntyre can't make you not look washed, just stop. Just stop coming back to WWE for anything other than if you just want to come in one time to spear Dolph Ziggler, I'm in. But don't actually have a full match.
I want that to happen. It should be Goldberg versus Dolph and John Morrison, and he just spears the shit out of both of them. 5 minutes, I'll be happy. That's WrestleMania.
I because they're not John Morrison's doing something, but is Dolph even doing anything right now? It's hey,
I meant Miz and that's what I meant.
I'm fine with that too. But I was thinking if they call up Dolph Ziggler, just hey, we need you to come in and get speared by Goldberg for no reason. And Dolph's
again, what year did they do that? Was it the Royal Rumble or was that WrestleMania?
It would work. Man. Every Dolph.
I don't remember which pay-per-view, but it was bad.
Every Dolph.
But it was great.
Yeah. Is basically watching Dolph sell is like watching that Shawn Michaels Hulk Hogan match where Shawn Michaels is deliberately overselling every move.
I love it.
Well,
it's good other than the fact that it doesn't do anything. It doesn't build up something new. It's not I don't care about the next Dolph Ziggler match. And in that case, Dolph was in the middle of doing what was the closest to getting me to care. And I was going to say again, but I never cared in the first place. But he was cutting killer promos. And it was well, what does this lead to? We know he's just going to get cut in half by anybody who can do a spear. This doesn't fucking matter. And so he was cutting great promos and it ended in 3 really bad Kofi matches. The only bad match of the Kofi's run until he loses to Brock. That's how bad Dolph was going with getting just crushed by Goldberg.
Yeah. I'm a Dolph mark. He's been screwed by creative for years. He would cut good promos, he would build good programs, and then lose, and we all knew it. I mean, it's literally what they're doing with Braun Strowman now. It's you're building it up, and you're yeah, but it's not.
I think they watched him try to climb a ladder, and they were like, "Dude, no, this is never gonna. How are you gonna grab a brass ring when you climb a ladder like you don't have legs?"
I think I think Vince still has like the Spirit Squad uniform in his office and goes, "I remember you. I remember you."
See, I don't think
it's
so.
next to the T-Rex, right? I think it is.
I think you're right about where the Spirit Squad uniform is located. I don't think he remembers that Dolph was part of it. He doesn't remember these guys in their old gimmicks. He has no fucking clue, man.
That's true.
None. Like Dolph's sitting there hoping Vince never remembers. And I don't know why, because it's not like Dolph's career could get any worse. It's not like Vince could do worse things.
No, it could have been so much better. Is just how I feel. Like
I still think that like his thing, he was always going to be a mid-carder though, and so the problem was Vince undersold him. And I'm not going to put you in the same camp as the Smarks who oversold him, but they definitely did, man. Like they wanted him to be a main eventer, and anything less wasn't good enough. And those two were never going to bridge the gap because he should have just been a really good mid-carder. And instead, even his Intercontinental runs never got the right play. I mean, he has the one really good match with the Miz, the only good Miz match that's ever happened. And from there, they didn't turn it into a great Intercontinental title run, mostly because the fans were sitting there. And even when it was good, they were like, well, it was a good match, but you don't do the right things with Dolph. And it's like, well, he's winning now. You should care. They didn't. They wanted it. They would only care if he got another title run as a heavyweight champion. And that's just not where he was. Even the good promos didn't put him in that category.
If I want to watch a watered down Shawn Michaels, I'll watch Marty Jannetty. At least that guy killed somebody.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Dolph Ziggler killed a prostitute.
With his when he had the Money in the Bank and the pop against Alberto Del Rio, and no one gives a shit about Alberto Del Rio, shows that there was a time.
That's one moment, but that's still like
that's like took it away from him.
And that's the thing. Like he got mistreated, but at the same time, the fans were wanting him. That certain section of the fans wanted him to stay at that high level, and it should have just been one fun run. I don't think he was ever delivering things that like make him a heavyweight champion, like somebody that I consider to deserve that spot and could keep it a while and then build up other guys. Like he can sell like hell, but he's never like been able to like go through a feud and make that person come out the other side in a better position than they were when they started.
Except the Miz.
Kind
I
of.
disagree.
Miz did nothing until Miz cut his own good promo. But as it turns out, cutting promos doesn't make you not suck in the ring.
But
the Miz sucks in the ring
right now.
That's it. That's all I have.
I don't know. We
were in agreement for so long, and then we had to go Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler just cuts the room in half. I didn't realize that.
Divisive.
Crazy stuff. So we talked about the top two champions, kind of. We don't need to spend any more time on Drew McIntyre or Goldberg.
Nope.
We had talked about Sasha earlier in the night. I paid just enough attention to know that I don't really care for a wrestling match between Sasha and Carmella. They both deliver stuff that on a weekly show, if Sasha is doing a move to Carmella, just seeing Carmella's tiny body flop around is fun until she screams. And then Sasha's really good at selling, so she can make some of Carmella's harder hits pop more, but only on a regular show. On a pay-per-view, doesn't do anything for me. Any thoughts on that championship match? Either one of you can go.
I already forgot the finish. Honestly, I watched that match, and I didn't. I was kind of bummed going into it. I was actually really optimistic because I feel like Carmella is kind of one of those similar to an Alexa Bliss, not totally the same, but somebody who came up at the same time who has shown a lot of improvement. But a lot of it is more character work, and not that. And I'm fine with her in-ring work. I like, but there's something about how I don't know. You maybe just have to pair her with the right person. Sasha Banks, I'm also
James Ellsworth
kind of bored with. No, dude, like that's the thing is like Carmella paired with James Ellsworth, got over.
What
paired with Mark Ruth, got over. Like,
and that's a heel and a face. She did it both.
There's something, like there's something about her that works, and whatever it was with the feud with Sasha Banks just didn't like. It was just very middle of the road. I don't think it was bad. It was just like something else there, and maybe that's on Sasha. Maybe it's I don't know.
Yeah, I think with Carmella, she always needs to be the underdog. Either way, she needs to be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I won because I'm a face," or I need to like. she almost was beating Sasha up too much with the build, where it was like, wait, is she supposed to actually be on Sasha's level? Because she's not. And so then when you're like, oh wait, so they're supposed to even? No, she needs to underhandedly win, but she was always beating her up. So that's why it never worked.
Yeah,
I think.
It also,
and so it made me not care.
I think that's part of the reason that the match didn't have the hype, because it wasn't building to what their match needed to be in terms of Carmella being underhanded to win. But also, the beating her up didn't work very well because, I mean, we talked about this on the last one when they did the champagne bottle, and just the way it broke, the shit talking leading into it, none of it made me think that they were really going at it. It did, like, for somebody like Carmella, who has actually been really good at promos, and then somebody like Sasha, who has done bad when they just let her talk for a while. They didn't let her over talk. They let Carmella carry a promo, but they gave him no material to make it good. There was no reason for me to think this face-off mattered. And then when you add in that the attacks weren't really great beatdowns, like, I don't want Carmella to just be beating the hell out of Sasha. I agree with you that that's not really the dynamic they should have went for, but they also didn't do that dynamic very well. If they would have done it better, I might have still cared more. And I think that's probably been the biggest problem with this feud. And it's also probably the biggest problem with Sasha all summer. And most of it was Bayley, but even with Bayley out of the way, Sasha is like, she's circling the right idea. And I don't know if it's all creative. I don't know how much is her, because she does the promo thing where she just gets into a routine and you can hear her remembering the lines in her head. Yeah. And it's a lot on her. She's just not delivering, because I think Carmella is like overselling bad material. And I can recognize, I can hear that Carmella is doing the promo well, even if the promo is garbage. I'm not hearing that from Sasha ever. She just feels like she gets lost. And I don't think they've ever given her good material. So maybe if you give her the right stuff, she will knock it out. And, you know, it's not a bad thing to suck at bad material. It's a lot worse if you can't deliver the good stuff. And the problem is they just have not given it to her in like 2 years.
Yeah. I think evil boss Sasha versus Carmella with R-Truth would have been a way better story.
Yeah.
Is there any other matches? Because, like, I got lost in if anything else happened.
Just the tag team.
I got to actually get out of here soon.
No, that's fine, because we've run out of things to talk about.
It was the women's tag team, but who cares?
Yeah. We'll care when they get real tag teams together, which apparently the solution after you just paired up random single superstars is to pair up random single superstars that you want to be together, Billie Kay and Jillian Hall. I don't know how we got to that point that the women's division is that bad, that is the solution.
That was the best.
Okay.
Rip already existing tag teams apart and then put them with other people.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's what we'll leave you with.
Give them character, give them story at least. I mean, like, I don't even know if I want to see, like, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler break up to have a feud. Like,
they just all of a sudden forget that they're tag team and they just go back to singles.
Yeah, like, because you would need them to break up. They like, at least with Charlotte and Asuka, like, the title that makes sense. The tag team girls, Nia and Shayna. No, I don't care.
If they
neither of them are good faces, so
if they on Raw were like the women's tag team titles are vacant with no explanation, I would not care. No. I'd be like, fine, good, do something with it.
I think the women's tag titles are the first ones that show up on AEW on a Wednesday night, and they're like, "Wait, did we lose the women's tag titles? Where did those go?" Like, that'll be the first one that makes it over there. But we always try to end the podcast on some really great idea that Vince won't listen to. In this case, our best idea we could lay on this one is put Jillian Hall and Billie Kay together, and that'll solve the women's tag team division, apparently. So good luck with that, Vince. That's all we have for the Royal Rumble recap. We'll probably be back. I will stop promising previews for something like Fastlane, but I think we'll do a recap for Fastlane, and then definitely
Hell in a Cell.
Is that what's up next? God, I gotta look.
Hell in a Cell's next, and then Fastlane. There's supposed to be two.
Did they move it? No, Elimination Chamber. That's next.
Yeah. I know it was a big cage with shit.
And so Fastlane is the first one that's going to be on Peacock, which we didn't even get to talk about. So we could do a whole podcast on the fact that WWE Network is moving to Peacock. But we'll get to that later. It's a pretty big change. But for now, this is all we have, and maybe we'll get back for the preview. I will sort of promised the recap for I guess Elimination Chamber. I will check the schedule next time. But that's it. That's all we have for this episode of Making a Mark Wrestling Show on the Tell Me More podcast. Later, Marks.